90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., part of the WHPC Sports Talk family, which is Monday through Friday, Sports Talk 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and an additional Sports Talk show every Tuesday from 10 p.m. to midnight. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and award-winning sports writer, Tim Leonard. Hello, brother. How you doing?
Good morning, brother.
There he is. How you doing? How are things in Queens this morning?
Outstanding, brother. Outstanding.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing fine because, the Jets and the Giants lost again this weekend. And, I am actually looking forward to every game being lost this year by the Jets and the Giants. So, we will have history made if that happens.
Trevor Lawrence is coming to New York, brother.
Yeah, well, is that good?
Of course it's good.
Doesn't matter at this point? I don't know.
Future Hall of Famer Trevor Lawrence is coming to New York.
Okay, well, let's not start off with the bad news. Let's start off, at least for Yankee fans, with the good news. The Yankee fans have moved on into the playoffs, which start tonight. It's kind of interesting, first of all, that a Major League Baseball did not have at least some games on a Sunday. That's their main watching day for watching television. Yeah, I know there's a lot of football, but they said, well, let's not try. But they've done it before. There've been World Series. Well, there've been World Series games up against Sunday Night Football. Yeah,
but that's World Series. That's World Series game. This is still second round of the playoffs. I mean, there's still another 2 rounds to go between the American National League Championship Series and the World Series. So, the baseball and football, they have a good relationship. Baseball doesn't try to step on too many weeks of the football season whenever possible, and that would be why there was no games yesterday. But yeah, it has been a long wait for baseball. I mean, Yankee fans have been waiting. This is going to be 5 days without baseball.
It's a long time.
The last game the Yankees played was on September 30th. So it's been a while, and especially in these pandemic times where they keep telling us, "Oh, we got to get the games in. We got to get the games in." To have 5 days off is not even virtually unheard of. It's completely unheard of. So, I'm not really sure why, as far as the schedule goes, why they couldn't have started the series and then taken a couple days, taking a day off for Sunday. But right. Here we are. This is just what it is, how it is. So, tonight is the night where we finally get going with the American League Division Series and the National League Division Series, and I'm looking forward to it. I know I am. I'm sure you are too, brother.
Of course, it's the Yankees, and being a Met fan, who doesn't? What Met fan doesn't want to see the Yankees in the playoffs?
Of course.
I'm not one of those angry Met fans who, I like the Mets and any team playing the Yankees. I'm not one of those guys, brother.
Well, and then you're in the minority, brother. What can I tell you?
Well, there's a lot of Met fans out there who just hate the Yankees.
Exactly. And then that's a sad thing. But, first, we should talk about the fact that the Yankees did eliminate the Cleveland Indians in 2 games and how they won the first game 12-3. That was supposed to be a really outstanding pitching matchup between Garrett Cole from the Yankees and Shane Bieber of the Indians, who is the likely American League Cy Young Award winner. But Garrett Cole was outstanding and pitched like a guy who you gave a 9-year, $324 million contract to, and Shane Bieber pitched like a guy who maybe doesn't deserve the Cy Young Award.
Well,
the Yankees hit him pretty well, and Garrett Cole pitched like Garrett Cole, like you'd expect Garrett Cole to pitch, which was 7 innings and basically gave up next to nothing. While the Yankees were scoring runs and hitting home runs, and Aaron Judge had a home run, and Giancarlo Stanton had a home run, and The Yankees basically reminded people of how good their offense can be when everybody is healthy, which has been an extreme rarity this season. But Aaron Judge, boom. Giancarlo Stanton, boom, and several more booms in between. And 12-3. Then the next night, Masahiro Tanaka didn't have, and that's rare for Tanaka in the playoffs. Yankee fans are used to Tanaka pitching very well in the playoffs. His playoff ERA going into Game 2 was pretty significantly below 2. But he got hit pretty hard, and the Yankees kept having to scratch back and either tie the game or take the lead, and then Cleveland would come back against the bullpen and take the lead. It kind of went back and forth, much like an end-to-end kind of basketball game.
Right.
But finally, DJ LeMahieu in the ninth inning smacked a single up the middle that. Paul O'Neill very wisely said, reminded him of the Luis Sojo single that was, I believe that was against the Mets, as a matter of fact. That grounder up the middle that, as I said, probably bounced about 42 times on its way up the middle, but it got there, got between the shortstop and the second baseman, and brought home the what proved to be the winning run. And the Yankees, finally got an inning and change from Aroldis Chapman and nailed it down and swept that in 2 games. I mean, that was it was a very sudden kind of playoffs for a lot of teams. It was when it's just 2 wins, you play 2 games and you win them both, and to do it on the road is even more impressive. But a lot of teams had their seasons end pretty quickly after going 60
one thing about 2 out of 3, which we haven't seen in a long time, at least in baseball, is it is you have to be on your toes the entire time. It's not like win 1, lose 1 on the road, and then we come back to our home stadium and then we play there. It's much easier to lose 2 in a row very quickly with the 2 out of 3 series, and it changes. So I think you would. Set up your rotation even, just the fact that
most teams were able to set up their rotation. So that really wasn't an issue, I don't think, for obviously Cleveland was able to set up their rotation. Even though, the American League Central kind of went down to the wire. But the issue, first of all, the issue was that no Central team actually advanced, which was kind of bizarre. Three teams made it from the American League Central, and 3 teams, I think, from the National League Central. So, here we are with 4 teams left in each league, and all of those teams are either from the East or the West. So it was pretty strange how that worked out. But we got the Yankees playing the Tampa Bay Rays, and we got the Houston Astros playing the Oakland Athletics. So, and that the funny thing is that both teams in the American League, anyway, there's some animosity there because the Yankees and the Rays, obviously have a good amount of history.
Right.
But this season, if you remember a couple seasons ago, there was CC Sabathia hitting. One of the Tampa Bay players with a pitch at the end of the season after the Tampa Bay guy hit one of the Yankees, and CC, calling out to the Tampa Bay dugout, and he was like, 2/3 of an inning or something short of a bonus that would have paid him $500,000. But CC was protecting his teammate, and he let the Tampa Bay Rays know that, hey, I hit your guy because your guy hit our guy, and then you want to do something about it? Come on. And then the Yankees wound up paying him his bonus anyway, which I thought was certainly the right thing to do. But that has kind of come out this year as well, and there's been some bad blood between the teams this season, and a few more hit batters and whatnot. So there was the episode where Rays manager Kevin Cash Aroldis Chapman threw a pitch high and tight with one of the Tampa Bay players, and Cash after the game says, "Hey, we got plenty of guys who throw 98," and it was clearly a threat, and he wound up getting suspended a couple games for it, just like Chapman got suspended a couple games and Aaron Boone got suspended for one game, but that was pretty recent. It wasn't that long ago, so all of that is still fresh in the minds of the players. So I think we're going to get a pretty spirited series, especially, I don't know who the first pitcher is going to be who comes in high and tight, but whoever that is, there's definitely going to be some sort of retribution. And once that gets started, then you're going to bring the umpires into it. And that seemingly always screws things up because the umpires, for whatever reason, don't seem to have any clue as far as what intent is and who's doing something on purpose. And
that comes from the league itself, Timmy. They're
not really. Umpires know, and umpires should know that if a pitcher throws a changeup and hits somebody in the hip or something, that he's not throwing at somebody. But they don't really seem to care about the intent of something. And they certainly almost never allow, all right, here's somebody doing something stupid and maybe trying to throw a purpose pitch. And the best way to just let that go is to let the other team kind of come back and throw a purpose pitch. And all right, now it's done. But they rarely ever do that. So
not anymore, Tim. They react right away from that.
Yeah, but I'm hoping the umpires just kind of let things play out and don't overreact to it, because whoever is the first pitcher who does something along those lines, I really don't think it's going to be intentional. Obviously all the pitchers know what's going on, and I don't think that we're in a situation now where anybody's going to really want to throw at somebody. Unless it's late and it's, it's a best of 5. So if a team is on their way to win number 3, maybe then, yes, I could see it, one team or another kind of trying to get back at each other. But I can't see it in the first couple of games that either team is going to do something that stupid and say, all right, well, we have a grudge from the last time we played you. We didn't like Chapman's pitch to, I don't even remember the guy's name, but he came back the next day and hit a home run. So that's the best. That's the best revenge right there. So it should be squashed, but who knows? Sadly, baseball players get a little overly dramatic about stuff like this nowadays.
That's just part of the sports center mentality, brother. You know that.
Yeah, sad but true.
That's part of, am I on Sports Center tonight? All right, yeah. So what do you think? What do you give the Yankees in this, brother? You think they're going to win the series, or?
It's hard to predict the Yankees to win the series just based on the season series. Now, that being said, like I just said a few minutes ago, the Yankees are healthy for basically the first time all season.
Right.
Stanton got hurt early, then Judge got hurt a couple of times. So it's hard to look at the season series and say, oh, well, Tampa Bay is just a better team. Well, Tampa Bay was playing the injured and flawed version of the Yankees for most of those games. So, I would certainly like to predict the Yankees, but I'm really not sure, because Tanaka's start against the Indians kind of puts him in a little bit of doubt. We're still, we're talking about 5 games in 5 days. So does Garrett Cole get a second start? I would say probably. And I would say that Garrett Cole tonight, if the Yankees can take a lead and get a significant lead, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Garrett Cole go about 6 innings and then Aaron Boone goes to the bullpen, because any pitches that you can save on his arm that will allow him to start a game 5, that can only help.
Yeah, well, that's the person you want for game 5. So.
Right, of course, but he'd be going on short rest. Instead of having his normal, going every fifth day, he'd be going, on a fourth day. So
right.
So if it's at all possible to save 20 pitches on his arm tonight, then you better believe that Boone will look to do that. And as much as they would like their ace to go as long as possible and save the bullpen, you know what? The bullpen's been resting for 5 days, so the bullpen doesn't need any more rest. But you need, he's thinking about games 2 and 3. Like, what happens if Tanaka doesn't go more than 4 innings again, and what happens if Jay Happ doesn't have it that night, for game 3? So he's got to think like that, but and you also have to think about the possibilities of game 5. And if you can have a more in shape and a more prepared Garrett Cole for game 5, then that's what you have to do.
Right. And these 5 games in 5 days is really nice. It's, again,
it's nice for the fans.
It's nice for the fans who have to wait. Part of it's the bubble thing that's going on. But at the same time, it's nice to wake, the next day. Okay, what's my next game? Instead of waiting 2 days or whatever. So, or 1 day. And I think it's very cool. I wonder if this carries over into the return to normal, whenever that might be, for Major League Baseball. I mean, I can't see this happening next year. It depends on the COVID. God knows when that's going to happen. We can't say. But think about it. The baseball season's going to end normally. Football season's going to end normally. But basketball and hockey,
football season might not end normally, brother. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Well, I know that, but I'll save what I saw the other day too, which was pretty funny. But I think this is a one-time thing. I think if they did COVID next year, let's say it continued, and God forbid, but if it did, first of all, we'd be doing our shows from home still, which I don't look forward to. But at the same time, we'd still be doing the show, of course. But I don't think baseball could afford it. They're already talking about, for football, maybe we can get some people in for the playoffs or the end of the season. And basically, they're setting up for the Super Bowl. They don't want a crowd noise at the Super Bowl. They want crowds.
Right. But they've been talking about that for baseball as well. I mean, they've been talking about, especially for the World Series, they've been talking about getting at least 25% capacity per crowd,
right?
Into stadium down in Arlington. But it's right now. I think part of the reason why they were off so long, it was to get them into the bubble. They got everybody tested. I'm sure that was part of it. That, all right, we're going to put teams in these bubbles, but we need to make sure that nobody has COVID. Because if you're going to set up a bubble, there's no point in doing it unless you test everybody and you make sure, all right, nobody's got it.
Right, so, and even the teams that who were infected for this season, they seemed to get around it. I guess they had all their games in or close to all their games in. So, I think they were, even though 14 days or however they had to, sit down.
The Marlins had a big struggle,
right?
But to their credit, they made up their games. They played a lot of doubleheaders,
right?
And they won a lot of games. The Marlins are still alive. I mean, that to me is the story of the season. Here's Donnie Baseball getting his job done, and it really is pretty remarkable.
Well, also Derek Jeter, brother.
Well, I mean,
whatever his official
has to do with it,
whatever his official title is,
Right, but let's face it, Derek Jeter doesn't exactly have a lot to do with the day-to-day of what's going on with the Miami Marlins. But I'll give Don Mattingly a whole lot more credit than Derek.
Well,
Jeter.
yeah, I would too. It's nice to see Mattingly, getting a break, so to speak.
I said to a friend of mine, if the Yankees, for some reason fail and don't get past this, this series, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees possibly look to make a move.
What, to get rid of Aaron Boone?
It's possible. I mean, I don't think it would happen in a pandemic season, but it wouldn't surprise me necessarily if the Yankees said, you know what, this isn't working, and they go to Donnie Baseball. Well, and they bring him back, and look at the job that he's done. And let's put it this way: it would surprise me, but in some ways, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised either. I think he was a finalist before Joe Girardi got hired. So, I mean, he has been thought about, at least by the Yankees. Plus, he's proven himself now. He seems to, I don't want to say think better about baseball. That's the wrong term. But his teams are winning. So he must be doing a little difference with his players. Maybe chatting with them more, or who knows? I don't know. Holding the hand more.
He has brought a team that lost somewhere, and I don't even remember how many times they lost last year, but it was somewhere around 100 losses. And right. he has turned this group into a playoff team, and short season or not, it really doesn't matter, because everybody was playing for the same goal, and with all the double headers they had to play, it just made it that much harder. So
I think everything this season counts.
Of course.
It's a 60-game season. Okay, maybe they could have done a little more. I would have played through October and then started everything in November, but they didn't want to do that.
No,
but they could have.
You can't. Second wave, brother. Second wave is coming. Second wave is coming.
Yeah, I know that, brother. Doesn't mean if you're in the bubble, which you'd be in November. If you're going to be in the bubble.
I'm still not really buying baseball's version of a bubble.
Well,
sorry, but they're not doing it like the NBA and the NHL did.
No, that's different though, and so, that's a whole other thing. The NHL, had most of its season done. That was one of its advantages. So,
well, that was an advantage. But now baseball has got most of its season done too, and they only have to do this for a couple of weeks or a few weeks.
Well, they're on
how
the same
teams go.
Yeah, basically on the same track as if the season was ending normally. I mean, they ended a couple of days early. They didn't the first weekend in October. They ended in the last weekend of September. So, there's a little bit difference there. But, I think, I know you talk about second wave, and there's nothing wrong with thinking about that. But, if you lock everyone up, which the NHL, I mean, the NFL hasn't done, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway,
the NFL can't do it, and that's the problem. We'll get to that in a little bit with the NFL.
And anyway, anything else about the Yankees before we switch topics?
Well, just in terms of what with this supposed advantage that Tampa Bay has, and playing in San Diego, which is going to be difficult. People don't realize, or maybe they just haven't thought about it, but the Yankees and the Rays are going to be starting up at 8:07 our time, which is going to be 5 o'clock in the afternoon / evening in San Diego. It's going to be tough shadows. You're going to see some of those weird shadows coming across the plate. I don't think I would want to face Garrett Cole with some of those weird shadows and having him deal in 99 and pinpoint 99. But it's going to make it that much tougher on the offenses. So we might not see it. We could see some very quick innings early in the game until the sun goes down out there, or at least the shadows become manageable. So I expect the advantage to be for the pitchers early in the games, and that aspect of things will make it a little bit difficult. But I like the fact that the Yankees bullpen is rested, and that's not even an issue at this point, because guys at this point are probably trying to get work in as opposed to getting ready for the series. I know we saw some videos of players who visiting players were like putting mattresses up against their hotel doors so they could practice throwing. They were like literally throwing baseballs into mattresses because they couldn't go out to get work. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm a little sad for the Yankees that they have to be in lockdown in San Diego. They can't go to Hodad's. I personally.
Okay, Tim. Okay, shut up, brother.
That's fine.
Who cares about
Hodad's? The best, man. The best. You should go to San Diego to go to Hodad's.
Okay. Well, I'm on the plane tomorrow. One more thing, just about Major League Baseball. Bob Gibson died this past week. One of the great pitchers of all time. One of the most. I don't want to say dangerous pitchers, but
feared pitcher.
Feared's a better word about him, and
he was feared.
He also, he had his own. He had a couple of walls built around him to get through to him. If you had to talk to him, or if you wanted to try to become friends with him, he was very. I don't want to say difficult's the wrong word, but you had to go through a couple of things to become friends with him. And Tim McCarver was like his unofficial spokesman, or even official spokesman over the years about Bob Gibson. And he had pancreatic cancer, and a lot of times you don't beat that. So, or most of the time you actually don't beat that. So,
that's a sad one to get.
One of the great. We might have seen him when we were kids. I don't remember. We once saw a Mets game, Tim. I don't know if you remember. It was 72, and we were waiting in some corner of Shea Stadium, and all of a sudden, the St. Louis Cardinals all walked by us.
I do remember that, but I remember the Alus coming through.
Right, Alu.
That's what he said. He said, Alu, I am Alu.
Yeah, and we're standing at me and Dad. Someone had in for us to get into the stadium, but I don't remember if Gibson played that day. I don't remember the day actually, but I remember Alu. It was Matty Alu.
Shocking that you don't remember something, brother.
I know. I just don't remember. I mean, I guess I could figure out the day. It had to be during the year. It wasn't at the end of the season, and it was a little cold if I remember right. But I don't know. I just but I do remember that. And like I said about Tom Seaver, there's not a lot of footage of Bob Gibson pitching. 68 World Series there is. They saved some games from that. There's some film air stuff around, but regular games it's going to be tougher to find, and it's too bad. That they didn't just save some of these games. I understand why, but so many great pitchers are starting to go and batters and stuff, and they just don't have real footage. It's almost like imagine you had found a complete ball game on film of the 33 World Series, which they only shot a couple. It's just it's too bad. But anyway, Gibson, one of the greats, died at 85. Let's talk football, brother. Well, first, before we start, you're listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, on your radio, on your Alexa speaker, or on iHeartRadio or TuneIn.com. We are there. Look for us. We're also streaming at nccradio.org. We're here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., Sports Talk, from the Press Box, part of the Sports Talk family. And, of course, this show becomes a podcast later on Spreaker.com, among other places. I am Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and my friend, Tim Leonard. Hello, brother, friend. How are you?
Hello, pal.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about the Jets and the Giants. I mean, like I said, Rich Kotite. Well, I said this off mic. Rich Kotite must be happy. I mean, he must be like saying, you know what? I was 1-15 2 straight seasons. These guys go 0-16, which is not something I said at the beginning of the year. I thought the Jets might win 4 games. They look horrible. Every week they look horrible. They lost to the Broncos.
Yep.
They lost to the Broncos on Thursday night when it looked close. If you just tuned in at the end, look, they're kind of close, but it really wasn't a close game at all. I mean,
that game did get close. I can't. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Jets didn't have a chance to win the game, because they certainly did, and they battled back, and from that standpoint, it was a game. It was a game that the Jets actually had a chance to win, and then they screwed it up. There's no other way to put it. When Pierre Desir got the interception and brought it back for a pick six, I thought that might be the moment where it's like, oh, hey, the Jets are finally going to get a break, because that gave them the lead.
Yep. And
not long after, the Broncos kicked a 53-yard field goal, And then they came back and added a touchdown after that. The Jets did nothing on the next drive, and then they came back and they added another touchdown, and that was it. 9 points. Thank you very much. Let's or 8 points, I guess. 37-29.
28 was, by the way.
28. Oh, it's like 28. My bad. But it was more of the same from the Jets. The defense wasn't good at all.
No.
Sam Darnold was, he was mediocre. It's basically what it was down to. I mean, in a game where the Jets scored 28 points, Sam Darnold had 0 touchdowns thrown, and it wasn't, it wasn't a very good performance for him. 23 for 42, no touchdowns. Darnold did score on a 46-yard touchdown run, which was a little surprising to see, but especially with the shoulder injury that he's now dealing with.
Right.
But and he wound up being the Jets' leading rusher in the game with 84 yards. But like I said, 46 of those came on one carry. The highlight of the game for the Jets, Sam Ficken had 5 field goals, and that's no team wants their kicker to be the highlight, but Sam Ficken was the highlight because he had 5 field goals. Pierre Desir had the interception return for the touchdown, and Darnold had his touchdown, and that's your 28 points. So, and the Jets after Desir, they had to go for the 2-point conversion because they wanted to turn it into a 1 field goal they wanted to take a lead by a field goal, and they failed.
Right.
So, that was it. Just let's face it, the Broncos are not a good football team, and Brett Rippon was starting for them, and he played a pretty good game considering this guy has little to no NFL experience. He threw for 242 yards, had 2 touchdown passes, but also threw 3 interceptions.
Right,
and that should have been a crushing blow, and it wasn't because the Jets weren't able to take advantage. Desir's interception was that was it as far as them scoring touchdowns on anything, and interceptions led to field goals, but it's not that big of a deal when your own team is putting points on the board as well. The Jets defense is becoming an issue in the sense that not even only that they can't really stop anybody, but they're also playing stupid. And by stupid, I mean personal fouls, roughing the passer, stuff that they're what coaches call selfish penalties. Because a player will go out and hit a quarterback, and that when you take a penalty like that, it gives the other team first downs. And it allows them to keep the ball moving. And when you do that as a defense, and especially if you do it on a 3rd down or on a play where the team otherwise wouldn't have gotten the first down, or they had, it was maybe 2nd and 10 or something like that, you can't keep giving opposing teams opportunities. And the Jets continue. The Jets have more personal foul penalties by a significant number than any team in the league. And for a team that has such a lack of talent,
is that a discipline problem?
It's definitely a discipline problem. I mean, and that's Greg Williams was supposed to come in and install an aggressive defense, but he wasn't supposed to come in and install a stupid defense. And yes, that is it's a knife edge that defenses have to walk sometimes. But it's something that, especially with the Jets, they need to be able to control themselves and not give away opportunities when they don't have the wiggle room to be able to do that. Because, I mean, let's face it, the Jets offense has been terrible all season. And the fact that they got 28 points against the Broncos, who also have a terrible defense, and Von Miller, who's one of the best defensive players in the game, is injured and won't be playing for several weeks. When you have an opportunity like that, you have to try to take advantage of it. And the Jets really blew their chances. They gave up 107 yards rushing to Melvin Gordon, who also had 2 touchdowns. So the run defense wasn't very good. And like I said, the discipline needs to improve, and the stupid penalties need to decrease. So, and will we see that? I don't know, because who knows? I mean, the Jets. It seems like already the players are kind of turning off from the coaches, and that certainly goes for Adam Gase as well. But I mean, if it'll take a win, and if they can get a win, but I don't know where that win is on the schedule. And we talked about this last week. I don't know where the win is, and then the Jets certainly do have a decent chance of going 0-16. Really, the only winnable game, or the most winnable game anyway, seems like it would be the Miami Dolphins at home in a few weeks after the bye week. But there certainly are not a lot of winnable games on the schedule. In fact, there's probably like 2 at this point.
I mean, you're being nice.
Yeah. I'm saying winnable. I'm not saying that the games that they should win. I'm saying games they have a chance to win. I think playing the Cardinals this weekend, and Kyler Murray, who is emerging as a very capable quarterback, that to me, that I don't think it's a winnable game. I mean, do they have a chance to win it? Sure they do, but because the Cardinals they're a pretty good team. They're not a great team by any means, but it's going to take a lot for the Jets to win that game.
Right. And I want to connect this with the Giants, but the Giants, let's talk about them in a second. I want to talk about the fact that if you're the Giants and the Jets, both at 0-4, when do you start looking at next season already?
Well, you can't, because you have to stay in the present in the NFL. Because
two more game losses, which seemingly are happening in the next 2 weeks. Basically, your season's over. 10-6 is maybe gets you in the playoffs, maybe not. I got news for you, brother. 0-4 means your season is over. The percentage of teams that have started 0-4 and made the playoffs is almost not. I know that's none. So when do you start thinking of next season? When do you start looking about
it depends on who
trades
you are.
to adjust your draft?
It depends on who you are. If you're the GM, you're already starting to think about next season, because there's not a whole lot you can do with this season. It's not like Joe Douglas or Dave Gettleman can make trades to save their seasons. It's not like all they're going to do at this point is unload some contracts. For whenever the NFL trading deadline comes to pass, they're going to try to unload some veteran contracts. And maybe gather a few draft picks, but you're talking the draft picks they're going to get are going to be in the 4th, 5th, 6th round area. They're not going to get any first round picks for anybody. It's not going to go like that. So maybe you improve your depth a little bit, and you get a few more picks than you would have had, but that's going to make your current product even worse than it is. So. It's. I don't know. If put it this way, if I'm a GM, like I said, I'm already looking towards next season, because this season is lost. But the players, are playing for their jobs. So it always kind of irks me when fans say, "Well, the players are looking at next season." Well, you know what? For a lot of these guys, there won't be a next season because they won't be in the league anymore.
Right.
So when fans say that, it bothers me.
I've always looked at when you get to this point, or maybe a couple of games down the road more, that the players have to look at it one way, because they're playing for next season, and the general manager and the rest of the team is looking at, okay, how do we fix for next season? And you don't want to lose. That whole thing. Oh, let's lose games to get the draft pick. Well, the players don't want to do that, and
the players never want to. The players don't care about the draft pick. Because only the true like stars are the ones who know they'll be around next year, right? The Andrew Thomas kid that the Giants drafted, he knows he'll be around next year, and Daniel Jones knows he'll be around, or probably thinks he'll be around next year. Because if the Giants get the number 1 overall pick, then who knows if Daniel Jones will be around next year? Because the Giants might trade him to get to take Trevor Lawrence, but. There are very few members of the Giants who know that they will be here next year. I think, Darius Slayton is one of them. Golden Tate is probably one of them. Jabril Peppers, I would assume, is one of them, or at least they know they'll be in the league. Where maybe not with the Giants, but somewhere in the league. Whereas a lot of players on this team, I mean, when you're a team that wins, either goes 0-16 or wins 1 or 2 games, there's nothing guaranteed for you. Because it means you have a lot of bad players. And bad players tend to not stay in the league very long. So a lot of these guys are playing so that they can show the coaches, number one, that they have talent. Number two, that they care. Because if you have guys coasting through the rest of the season, a lot of times coaches don't want guys like that on their team, no matter how talented they are. It's, if it turns into, he just coasted through the last 6 games. Why do we want him? He's got some talent, but let's see what we can get for him. Let's see if we can unload him. So it kind of goes like that. You look at the Giants with Leonard Williams. To me, he's a prime candidate to get traded because he's only on a 1-year deal. The Giants gave him that some kind of exemption deal or whatever. I forget what it was, but they franchised him or something. So, and a lot of people thought that was a mistake because I think the Giants were taking a shot and saying, well, this guy was a high draft pick and maybe he can give us the kind of season we're hoping for. But to me, he would be a prime candidate to be moved because he's only on the 1-year deal and the Giants don't have any connection to him after the season and probably weren't going to sign him to a long-term deal anyway.
No, I agree. And, and let's talk about the Giants. They lost yesterday 17-9. I'm not sure if it was as close as it looked.
No, it was. It was a good game.
But the Giants haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games now, brother.
Well, the defense, it was, yesterday was the defense. I thought the Giants defense played pretty well. I was actually kind of surprised that they held the Rams down for as long as they did. The Rams really didn't. I mean, it was 10-9, and then the Rams got the touchdown in the fourth quarter, where Jared Goff hit Cooper Kupp, and Kupp slipped a couple of defenders and turned it into a 55-yard touchdown. So the play, it was one of those plays where when Kupp caught the pass, you're thinking, you're all right, 10, 15 yards, whatever, nice gain, but slipped the tackle, and then I forget which Giants player it was, but took a really bad angle, and Kupp just managed to kind of skip past him. I don't know what he was doing. It was terrible. But that was basically the game because the Giants couldn't score a touchdown, and that's a couple of games in a row where they haven't scored a touchdown. I don't even know how many quarters it's been, but it's been. I think we're going on 10 quarters now where the Giants haven't scored a touchdown. But let me just check this real quick.
Not good. I mean, I know it's over 2 games.
No, they did get one in the fourth quarter against the Bears. So it's been 8 quarters, 8 quarters plus, because that touchdown against the Bears was 42 seconds into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
So we're talking almost 9 full quarters that the Giants haven't scored a touchdown. I don't need to say how bad that is. That's bad.
No, it is.
You don't score a touchdown for almost 9 full quarters. Obviously, you're losing, and you're not. 9 points yesterday, 9 points last week against the 49ers. This offense, granted, without Saquon Barkley, who was supposed to be the workhorse of the offense, but still, you got to figure out a way to get it done, and you have to try to maybe throw the ball downfield. And Daniel Jones again, unable to go downfield. 23 for 36, 190 yards. That's this, brother. That's all dink and dunk. It's not going downfield. And Jones was getting pressured a decent amount.
Right.
Darius Slayton is the leading receiver for the Giants. 3 catches for 48 yards. I mean, that's. So what? I'm sure the Rams looked at that and said, hey, we did a great job.
You can't live on that if you're the offense.
No, you can't. And that's, I hate to beat up on Daniel Jones when I really haven't beaten up on Sam Darnold. But Daniel Jones does have a couple of weapons still. He's still got quality receivers, whereas Sam Darnold doesn't. And
right.
You know, Jones has Darius Slayton. He's got Golden Tate. He's got receivers who have, you know, I mean, Slayton, granted, he's a second-year guy, but Slayton had a great rookie season. And to me, he's better than pretty much any receiver the Jets have on their roster. And Tate is an established veteran who is a good player. So, you know, Jones has guys to throw to. The line is still not the best, and he does get pressured, but you know, he does like to use his feet, and he does like to scramble and make some yardage that way. But I don't know. I mean, this game to me yesterday, even though it was 10-9, for a period of time, and you know, even at halftime, it was only 10-6. So, you know, the Giants kicked the field goal right before the half. So it wasn't, you know, certainly wasn't a runaway at any point, but it just never seemed like the Giants were going to be able to do enough to win. And it's that kind of feeling where you look at it and say, all right, well, hey, it's close, and the Giants are playing pretty well, and you know, maybe you look at it as something of a moral victory, especially with the game out in LA. But in the end, you're still 0-4. And that's all that matters, because every professional sport, it's results driven. And if you don't get results, then it doesn't really matter what you do.
Yeah, they just look really bad. And you're right, they're out in LA, and you know, the LA's new stadium, and you know, that's like a big deal out there for right now, and
of course,
it looks very nice, actually. You know,
well, but the other thing was, and this kind of highlighted one of the issues that Daniel Jones is having, is he threw the interception on their late drive where they're coming down the field and they need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie the game. But here comes Daniel Jones, and what does he do? He locks in on his receiver, and this has been a criticism of Darnold's too. You can't do that in the NFL. You can't lock in on your receiver, especially if you have to scramble. And Jones got flushed out of the pocket. He was scrambling. He had to kind of reset himself. And his eyes never left Evan Ingram, and that was his intended receiver. And the 49ers or the Rams corner jumped the route. As soon as Jones threw the ball, corner jumped, dove, made the interception. It was a hell of a catch. You know, that was a catch a receiver you'd expect a receiver to make, but he dove in front of it and got it. And the only reason he was able to do that was because Darnold was Jones was locked in on the receiver the entire play. So he knew the ball was coming. And that's something that you know, Jones should know better. He's been criticized for that before. And, you know, when you get into late in the game and things start happening faster, and you have to still be able to control your emotions and control your body and have enough sense to say, I need to look away, or I need to, you know, check other options, or I can't just lock in on my one target. I need to run through my progressions, and he didn't do that. And when you don't do that as a quarterback, you allow the defense to know what you're doing, and it gives them an advantage. And that's what Daniel Jones did on that last drive.
Right. Let's quickly just mention that Cam Newton has tested positive for COVID. I was a little shocked by that, but
I'm not shocked when anybody tests for it. I mean, you know, Trump tested positive for it this week, and I wasn't shocked.
But that's different. You know, he's hugging people basically. Hug me.
He's insulated. Everybody who comes near gets tested. So I mean, in theory, he never should have gotten it. But you know, Cam Newton. I mean, again, the NFL players aren't in a bubble. They're living their lives, and they're hoping for the best. And you know, right now, the Boston area is a hot spot. And it's one of the places in the country where cases are rising in a significant way. So I'm not all that surprised that a member of the Patriots wound up with COVID. I think everybody's always surprised when it's a quarterback or when it's a significant player.
Yeah, that's part of the deal. You think that he would hide more, you know, not go out and say, okay, I got 4 months here. Let me prove, especially with him being now the quarterback, the new face of the franchise for the New England Patriots, and Tom Brady's not there anymore. But then again, he might have, just went to get gas or something. Who knows?
You can get it anywhere, anytime. I mean, we keep getting reminders that it really isn't. It's difficult to stay away from, and it's very easy to catch.
Yeah.
Well, so it just takes one lapse in judgment, or one trip somewhere that you probably shouldn't take, but you do anyway. And that's it. I hope it gives the American people a little bit of a wake up call, because I think personally I think people have been getting a little bit lax about it. And in New York now they're talking about shutting down specific zip codes because the cases are going up. And
yeah, well, God forbid that people don't see each other for a party. Well,
but that's my point, is that we still have to take this thing seriously, and people don't want to do it. Oh, let us live our lives. And well, you know what? Because you want to be an idiot doesn't mean I should maybe have to die.
Yeah, well.
So
quickly, brother, we're running out of time.
Yes,
we're a soccer-friendly show. Let's jump across the pond. And what's going on with your friends in the Premier League?
It's just Premier League, brother. So
I always hear them say it.
Use that little affectation with it.
They always say it. That's the way the
no, they don't. You always claim they say it that way, but I've
heard them.
No,
I've heard. I watch it, brother.
It's just Premier League. Anyway, brother, what a weekend! What amazing weekend! Because the big match of the weekend was my Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester United, against Mike Peters, Manchester United, I might add.
Right.
And that was at Old Trafford, which is where United plays their home matches. Of course, no fans. But only one team showed up at Old Trafford on Sunday, brother, and that was my Tottenham Hotspur.
Of course,
because we got 2 goals from Heung-min Son, who now leads the Premier League in goals with 6. 2 more goals from Harry Kane, my guy Harry Kane, and it was a 6-1 thrashing of Manchester United.
See, this is a game I like. Lots of goals.
It was beautiful. You would have loved it, brother. So many goals. Just goals everywhere.
I love lots of goals in soccer because it makes it a better game to watch instead of a midfield defensive rally.
This was a great game to watch, brother. You would have loved this game. There was a Manchester United got a penalty kick in the first minute, which they wound up scoring. Then Tanguy Ndombele scored in the 4th minute for Tottenham after a crazy bunch of headers in front of the United goal. It was a mess from their defense. And then Ndombele smashed it in. And then Sonny got his first. And then there was a red card because Anthony Martial smacked Eric Lamela from Tottenham in the face during they were jostling around in a corner kick. But you can't hit somebody in the face. Hands to the face is a red card. And a lot of people are complaining about the red card because they said, well, he didn't really hit him. It wasn't like, because he didn't wind up and punch him. But I'm like, it's hands to the face. Hands to the face equals red card. That's what it is. That's the rule. So Martial was tossed, and then it became a goal fest after that. Harry Kane got his first goal. Sonny got another one before the half. Serge Aurier scored early in the second half, and then Harry Kane got his second on a penalty kick, and it was 6-1. It was unbelievable. 6-1 against Manchester United. And all the millions and hundreds of millions that they've spent on their defense, and today is actually the transfer window closes in the Premier League today.
Explain what that is for people who don't know what that is.
That is the time where over there players are bought, trades are not made. Players from different teams are purchased. And you make offers, and the team either accepts the offer or maybe they negotiate it, but you come to an agreement on how much you're willing to accept for the player that the other team wants. And today I can guarantee you that the United people are on the phone and trying desperately to get players because they are in a world of trouble right now.
It's sort of like when Charles O'Finley was selling players from the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, there's similarities there, but that's just the way business is done over there in Europe. I mean, it's right. Pretty much with every league. Whereas here, you trade a player for another player. Over there, it's they have a certain time frame where you can say, all right, we'll give you 20 million pounds for this player, and they say, well, we rate him at $25 million, so you either come to a middle point or you say, all right, we'll give you the 25 or whatever it is. But that's how they do business there.
Right.
And the other pretty remarkable thing is it was Tottenham's fourth match in 8 days, which is a really heavy schedule for a soccer team. Usually they play about 1 game a week, maybe 2 games a week.
Right.
The fourth game in basically a week.
Right.
And Tottenham came away with that with three wins and a draw. And the draw was only because of a massively disputed handball. There's this new rule. I'll just touch on it and not go too deep. But basically, with soccer this year, any handball in the box, anytime the ball hits a defender's hand, arm, whatever, they're calling it a handball.
Even if it's not like on purpose, like sticking your arm out or anything.
Eric Dyer last week had the ball headed to him. He jumped to contest a header. The guy behind him won the header. The ball was coming down and went just over Dyer's head. The player behind him headed it. It hit Dyer in the back of the arm. So it hit him like in the tricep. He was facing away from the ball. There was no intent at all, and they called it a handball and gave Newcastle United a penalty kick, and that made it 1-1. Even the Newcastle manager after the match said they got to change the rule. This is terrible.
Yeah, you can't have that because it has to be. One of the reasons they have a handball rule is it done on purpose?
Right.
If you're like blocking a goal from going in and you hit the ball away, that's a handball. If you stick your arm out, to block a shot, it's a handball. So I'm
right.
Just because
there has to be intent, and there was no intent, but that's been the rule this season. So now attacking players are looking to hit the ball at a defender, and if it hits his arm, chances are the refs are going to call it a penalty kick.
Right.
So it's quickly becoming a strategy, and that's terrible. That's not no football, no soccer fan wants to see that. They don't want to watch that kind of mess.
No, but one thing I noticed about soccer, especially the Premier League, is when they go back on instant replay, and if the guy's like half a step ahead, and it's natural running, but if you watch it in slow motion, it always looks different. If he's half a step ahead and it's natural, and he gets a goal out of it, they'll take it away because they can have.
If it's offside, it's offside. I mean, it's pretty clear.
But if it's not on purposely done at the same time, if you're half a step ahead, it's one thing to be 2 steps ahead. But if you're even with the guy, but you're just a little bit ahead, a
little bit ahead is offside. That's the rule.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. So anyway, brother,
even is not offside, but a half a step ahead. And also, just quickly, brother. Your Liverpool, your reigning champion Liverpool lost to Aston Villa 7-2.
Not good.
The most goals ever given up by a reigning champion in Premier League history.
Okay, NBA Finals: Heat are beating the Lakers 2-1.
No, the Lakers are beating the Heat.
I'm sorry.
The Heat made it a series last night. Jimmy Butler with the triple double, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. And the Heat got a win, 115-104.
Okay, brother, we're done. Anyway, we're done, brother. Another show is complete. This will be up on Spreaker very soon. Go there if you want to listen to it again, or maybe you missed part of it. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is my brother and co-host Tim Leonard. We'll see you next time with more from the Press Box. Thanks to Sean Novat for keeping this on the air. Take care and bye-bye.